Hey guys, welcome back to Into the Overhead. You see I've got my sign up. And you may also see something else. That guy's me. That guy's Dean. Dean's not here. Dean's doing something kind of important. He's going to be here eventually and fill you guys in on what's going on. But until then, I've got Bucky from Bucky's the Bobblehead. Interestingly, their necks kind of work the same if you hit the button. Oh, shit. Hey, man.
I told you not to replace me with Bucky.
It was more
I told you I'd be here.
It was more of an upgrade than a replacement.
Hey, everybody. Sorry I'm late, but at least I made it. Did you get started into 2 months yet?
I pretty much said that you were working on something important and you would tell them what it was when you got here. So now's the time.
It's pretty cool. So I just got out of my instructor trainer workshop.
What's an instructor trainer workshop?
Sweet. So with SDI, TDI, PFI, ERDI, like basically the entire International Training Incorporated umbrella, anything that I have been able to teach students, I can now teach and create instructors.
So you can make open water instructors or like side mount instructors or just instructors of most or any kinds.
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
Waiting for the paperwork and finalizations, but I literally just finished class yesterday.
Speaking of finishing class and waiting on paperwork, another part of the reason we've been gone is I recently took my Cavern instructor evaluation program. So waiting on some paperwork to go through, but when the paperwork goes through, he'll be an instructor trainer for things, and I will be a Cavern instructor.
And I didn't make him a Cavern instructor.
No, he did not. That means that I can make Cavern students, effectively, Cavern divers, not Cavern instructors. But he can make Cavern instructors.
What is a Cavern diver anyway? What are the limits?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's just like you go back as far as you possibly can. And you don't
on
have
a
to
spare
take
air, right?
Yeah. It was on a spare air. You
In
don't have to
Buford.
take lights. Yeah, well, of course, Buford. 160 feet minimum on the spare air.
Okay,
in
let's
order to
stop and let's
graduate.
correct for the people who don't really know.
There are, penetration distances. There are gas requirements. That if you didn't see his hand signs, that was 200.
Linear feet, not penetration in.
Yes, unless the cave is only 1 foot deep, then you can go.
Then you can go 199 feet back.
Straight back 199 feet. So we'll
200 feet total distance.
We'll
40
look for a
feet
tape
deep,
for that.
160 in. If you have any questions, ask on this or in our
comments
Facebook
or
channel.
Any of the groups. So speaking of groups, we have the Into the Overhead group. We have our side mount from beginning to expert.
Side mount diving from beginner to expert, which has been absolutely exploding. We've gone from a couple hundred members to a couple thousand members almost within just a few months. It's been, we're getting roughly about 105 to 120 members every week, which is just fantastic. If you're not a member and you're interested in side mount diving at all, please feel free to visit it on our Facebook and send a request. We do ask everybody to answer 2 questions, or we will decline your request with feedback that you need to answer the questions. We just want to make sure that channel or group stays as clean as possible. No bots, no spammers, and all that kind of stuff.
And based on the name of the group, right, it should be obvious that we say from beginner to expert. That means if you've never dove side mount and you're interested, the group is for you. That means that if you've been diving side mount since the 80s and you just want to be in a group where you can help other people, the group is for you.
If you want to talk about single tank back mount or double back mount, guess what?
The group's not for you.
Sorry.
So, speaking of groups, this is not really the most related thing with groups, but most of you that know me as an instructor for open water and other recreational diving activities know that I do so under the Central Florida Scuba name, which was kind of my LLC, my shop name, all of those things, which is an amazing name, by far the best name of any shop that's in this room for sure.
But since Josh loves me so much...
Is it love? It's more like lust.
There you go. I'll take it.
Since Dean lusts over me so much, he's been practically begging me nicely since I've asked him to to fold up under Scuba Techie. So there's already been an announcement made on the Scuba Techie Facebook page, and so I've kind of already been teaching under Scuba Techie for a little while now, but it sort of became official yesterday when I folded the Central Florida Scuba LLC and now officially work under exclusively Scuba Techie. So we got a lot of stuff coming. If you didn't already know this, Dean opened a Scuba Techie shop in Mariana, Florida, which I'll tell you all about in just a second.
Still in the process.
Still in the process.
But we
There's
do have a compressor. The
Yes.
compressor is definitely the first step. If you can't pump gas and fill tanks,
Are you even a dive shop?
nope, you're just
There you
someone
go.
selling gear.
That's right. You're a Walmart that has scuba gear, effectively.
So we've got a Bauer K14 up and running. Runs beautiful. We've got a small nitrox bank. We bank 32%. I'm picking up some more tanks Friday.
Bank
We're picking up,
Bank bottle tanks, or
yes, bank bottle tanks.
fancy.
The ones that never need to be hydroed, the ASMEs or AMSEs or something like that. But awesome tanks. They're gonna actually sit and live under the compressor. We've also got some regular bottles for nitrox. We will eventually be banking Trimix as well.
Trimix.
Small bank,
Small
but
bank.
we do get some GUE divers in the area once in a while, and if there's a call for Trimix, might as well bank it instead of making people wait. Partial pressure blending takes a while.
When we say small bank, we mean like lowercase b for the bank.
Yes.
Very small, not a capital B for bank.
No, small bank.
So, anyways, yeah. So Scuba Techie opened a shop up in Mariana. We're 400 yards from Jackson Blue,
Just about.
and I heard that Scuba Techie shop also has a boat.
We do. We have a 22-foot pontoon boat. Awesome boat. Super. Well, it will be super clean. It's pretty clean already, but we're going to power wash it. We're going to put some wrap on it and make it look all nice and pretty. It's got a kick and sound system, just in case you want to listen to some music, and it runs really, really well.
Is that exclusively for you to use for teaching, or can it be rented? I don't know how that works.
It will be available for rent once I have a backup boat, because if I rent out a boat and something goes wrong with it due to somebody else, then I can't teach my classes. That would be no bueno.
Sure. So the gist of it is, or the moral is, if you will, that we're working on it, but the boat will be available for rent. So something to look forward to.
We have had a huge amount of stuff going on lately. You've heard this already. Josh recently divorced. My divorce finally went through in August. I moved out of the house I was in with my kid's mother back 10 years ago, plus over 10 years ago. The divorce finally went through in August, and I just got married, for those of you that don't know, on 2/23 of 23. Love you, honey.
Oh yeah, he loves you, honey.
Shelby and I have been together for 7 years. Most of you know that already, but for those of you that don't, she's been super patient, never nagged, never complained, was unbelievably understanding. And as soon as the divorce was final, we immediately started planning the wedding. That just happened on the 23rd. It was a great time. We had a fair amount of people. Josh didn't make it. You know, he had some issues with kids and stuff. Totally understand. He feels horrible. He'll take me out to dinner and apologize later when Shelby's in town. But anyway, that was a big thing. So we understand, we're thankful and grateful that you guys understand that we've just had so much going on, taking away from these videos and the talks that we have together. We're going to try to get more back on track in the coming months and get back to something somewhat regular. Yeah. We're really trying to avoid doing react videos. We're trying to avoid doing stuff where Josh and I just sit here and talk to each other. We want to do stuff that's more meaningful. So,
that being said, I have to say that, you know, for me at least, the number one motivator to get back into it has been you guys, because you know, it would be one thing if Dean and I were just pushing each other like, hey, let's go film some videos, we got to get some content out there. But what's really happening is people are messaging.
Question.
People are commenting.
Question.
You know, people are texting, and they're like,
when are you going to record?
when are you guys making a video? Like,
When's
when are you
the
going to
next
finish
episode?
this video? When are you going to do the second part of that video? Like, we're really excited. We've been waiting. And I think we knew that people would watch our videos. There's no question about that. What we didn't know was that
we have chemistry.
It would actually be impactful and people would enjoy it, you know, because it's easy to post a video and your close friends would be like, okay, I'll support you, I'll go look at it,
right?
You know, but we don't have that. We have a community, which is really nice. It's been surprising and humbling. It's just in general been an awesome experience. So we're super grateful for that, for sure.
Small correction: we don't have a community. There is a community
I
that's
have
backing
a
us.
community.
Well,
He does have that makes sense. Actually, we all know you guys watch for me.
oh, he's so modest.
Yes, I'm the humblest by far, the most humble.
The most humble?
The most
humblest.
I'm more humblester than you'll ever be.
Okay. Anyway, what else we want to talk about? So let me talk about my ITW.
ITW talk. Okay.
Yeah, it was without a doubt grueling, tiring, exhausting.
Now it's just the online portion.
Super educational. And what made it even more difficult, honestly, was trying to prepare for this and prepare for a wedding at the same time. It was a lot of work doing both. The ITW in and of itself, we did a bunch of Zoom calls, a bunch of remote stuff, presentations and all that stuff. That was probably the most difficult part. The ITE, I guess, the instructor trainer examiner, I'm going to mention your name, Thomas Powell, well done. Awesome job. He would give us topics, and we would actually, within like 24 to 48 hours, we would have to come up with, and it's a very general topic that can go in an infinite number of directions. We had to pick any direction we wanted to take it and build a presentation and on like literally on PowerPoint, not just practice a little educational speech, but have a PowerPoint presentation that covered that topic within a specified time frame. If you were too short, you got dinged. If you were too long, you got dinged. If it wasn't good enough, you got dinged. There's a lot of dinging going on. I kept hearing bells in my head like crazy. But all in all, ironically, a lot less in-water time than I thought it would be. We did a little bit of pool work every day, and then we did Blue Heron Bridge, which you guys may or may not have seen. I will put it into the overhead channel as well on Facebook group. But we went to Blue Heron Bridge yesterday to do some actual open water skills, and we actually had to run some rescue scenarios, which was grueling. Especially, I kind of tweaked my knee pretty good the very first day we were on site with each other. So that was tough, trying to push through the swims.
So, I'm not thinking about it. I guess I'm surprised that there wasn't a lot of diving, but also thinking about it, not surprised, because you're already an instructor at that point. So it's like you've already proven yourself to be a good diver. So how much in water time do you really need? And especially if you've been actively teaching students that entire time. Otherwise, why would you be an instructor? So I feel like that's probably has something to do with it.
Absolutely. The class, if I had to try to sum it up, the class was more about how to teach people. To teach people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. The ability and the testing of, hey, can you come up with a different way to explain this? Because I didn't understand it this way, so now explain it some other way that might get through to the student. So it's tough.
That really can't be understated, because it's one thing to have the natural ability to teach people things, but to give people the ability to teach other people is something, sort of on its own, and certainly much more difficult because you're not relying on your own talents. You're trying to mold their talents in a way that will be most effective in their teaching, which means understanding the way that they teach, even if it's not the way that you teach. So instructor trainers are incredibly valuable, and I can understand why it would be difficult. But interesting fact, one of Dean's instructor trainer evaluator, technically he was an evaluator student, so he's trying to become an evaluator.
Oh,
was my buddy when I took Cavern, Intro, Side Mount, Full Cave, ANDP, basically all the tech courses that I've taken where I've had a buddy, it was him. So
James Newell.
Small world, because he owns a dive shop 10 minutes away, and Dean lives 4.5 hours away. So what a small world, man. Jeez.
Yeah. And I will say, Jim, if you watch this ever, thanks again. Thomas, also, thanks again. Jim, you as a ITE student, you did a fantastic job, and your view and ways of explaining things was, I can't express how top-notch it was.
He definitely has the academic stuff.
It was fantastic.
Oh,
yeah, really, really, really well done.
I'll give him props for it. He knows the standards, he knows what he's talking about.
Without
he's always
doubt.
Challenging me. Every time I walk in the shop, he'll be like, yeah, I'm getting ready to teach this or this. And he'll just start asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I was going to look at the standards.
Well, I will.
Which is very, very, very well versed.
I will say this. I am very, very grateful that the final exam was open book. It wasn't 50-50 and you couldn't phone a friend, but it was open book. We had our laptops in front of us. We could use the PDFs on the website.
Oh, perfect.
Instructor manuals, ITE manuals. You could literally just look it up. But not having been an open water instructor that has taught a huge number of open water classes in the past 5 years, just knowing where to find stuff was an issue,
Yeah.
Having to open up 5 different PDFs to, hey, do a search. Hey, is it in here?
Yeah.
Nope, not this one. Nope, not that one.
It.
Oh, there it is. So
that's part of it. Just like with computer programming, not everybody knows how to do everything in programming, but if you want to figure something out, you have to know how to ask the question. And that kind of bleeds into what you're saying. You need to not know how per se, but know where to look for the answer to said question.
That's it. And for everybody out there listening and watching, if you're a diver or instructor if you don't know the answer, don't try to fudge it and make something up. Go find the answer. Hopefully you know where to find it. And if not, ask someone, hey, where can I find this? Don't just try to get a free pass. There are no get out of jail free cards. So
Fair enough.
good deal.
So we covered some life events. We covered the ITW. Like I said, I did my cavern instructor evaluation. That was...
Congrats, by the way.
Oh, thanks. We're shaking hands on this. This is the first time he said anything about it. He was usually just like, oh, I feel bad for those guys.
Whatever.
So, I'm waiting for the paperwork to process, and then I do plan to offer cavern courses. So if anybody is in our area and wants to take them, potentially take them with both of us, as a matter of fact. I know Dean loves to do a good co-teach, especially when I'm in charge. He just loves that, don't you?
Yeah, I like correcting things.
Yeah, I'm like, Dean, go grab our tanks. And he's like, yes, sir. Does it, no problem.
Right.
That's how I remember it.
I would do it.
Is that how you remember it?
Listen, if you brought the students and it's your class, I would happily be your tank monkey.
Oh, okay.
Listen,
Keep that in mind.
There is nothing that I would expect anyone to do if I'm not willing to do it myself. Period. End of story.
It's part of the NCO creed. You could have been a sergeant. Look at you.
There you go.
So, so the cavern instructor evaluation was interesting. I won't get too into it, but yeah, it was challenging. I've been teaching open water students for a while as an open water instructor, of course, and there's something to be said. Those of you that know me will know that I usually say the opposite of this, so it's interesting. But there's something to be said for taking somebody that has no experience in scuba and teaching them the things they need to learn in order to do scuba. I used to think that was the harder way, but now I can see that in some tech diving, you sometimes will have students that have bad habits ingrained. And I think it's harder to mold somebody that's already been doing something for a long time to sort of change their habits into a way that makes more sense for what they're trying to do. And I think the same really relates to a lot of things, like, firearms, for example. If you have a lot of bad habits, it's hard to retrain you into good habits. I feel the same way about diving. So having been exposed to that, I just thought that was very interesting.
The longer people are doing something a certain way, it's exponentially more difficult to get them to change that, because they've got to basically... I've had students that have had, bad habits, bad overhead habits that they've been doing for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Having them get rid of that, like flutter kicking in an overhead. No bueno, just can't do it. Hand fanning for directional changes, can't do it. And those are the things that people don't even think about. They're just an automatic reflex, and changing a reflex is really tough.
It's really easy to think that the higher you go in technical training, the better, more skilled the diver students are going to be. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that translates as I progress in my career, because of course I want to become an intro to cave instructor, eventually a full cave instructor, eventually a CCR cave instructor, all of those things. But it's clear to me that as the classes get harder, the students don't necessarily get better, because again, those bad habits. So I have my work cut out for me in teaching cavern, but I'm really excited to face that head on, and hopefully we'll be giving you guys an update here in a couple months, 6, 8, 10 months, I don't know, saying that I finished my intro to cave instructor. Really looking forward to that. But I got to do some co-teachers first, so co-teaching with this guy.
With this guy?
Yeah, well, no, the guy on the sign on the left there, the bald-headed dude.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I got too much hair right now.
Yeah, you do.
I'll tell the ITW, I didn't even have spare time to shave my head.
I was literally wondering last night when you got here what looked different about you. I seriously was. I was looking at you. I was like, I can't place what's different about him.
Well,
Is
they
the
have the
beard
goatee
darker?
pretty dark. This is the longest I've ever had it.
Okay, so
It
that is
definitely,
part of it.
and this is the longest I've ever. Well, not the longest I've ever had
In a
but
while.
Recently, yeah.
I was looking at the goatee and I was like, I think that's darker. But
I look more mature. I look more sexy. Shelby tells me. Shelby likes the length here. Shelby hates the length here, but
she's not a fan of the length elsewhere.
some people say a happy wife, a happy life. I'd rather say a happy house. Happy spouse, a happy house.
It's true.
Because it goes both ways.
It does go both ways.
So do you, don't you?
Yes, I do. Let's turn the camera off. What?
Well, no.
Britt.
Bye. So let's talk about the project we've been working on.
The project. We don't have a name for it, so I can't say anything cool.
Project documentary.
Project
We'll just call it
X.
Project D.
Project D.
Not for Dean.
That seems inappropriate. Project M. Project D. Yeah, so we started a documentary, and
Which you guys already know about.
I think given that there's YouTube videos out about it now, I'm willing, if you are, to be a little more specific, not super specific.
I'd rather not.
No, you
Nope.
want to keep it wholly under wraps.
Absolutely.
Okay. D wants to keep it wholly under wraps, so we will keep it wholly under wraps. We have been working on a documentary about something related to cave diving. God, it's been almost a year since we started having the discussions. I feel like we started in like June, July, talking about
When
it.
did we do the first recording here?
Like September.
6 months ago ish.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 4 months ago. Okay.
September-ish, I think.
So,
that was
that's
6
not bad.
months.
But anyway, we have one more recording session to do, and it involves some people that are on board now. They weren't on board at first, and they were on board. So then they weren't on board, and now they're on board again. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, praying. We're hoping that this month we're going to get that recording session completed.
I don't think we will, but it's just, it's been a scheduling thing too. Not only have they been in and then not in, and then in and then not in, but also, their schedule only permits them to do things on weekends, and
And we teach a lot on weekends.
and I also have a family, so on the weekends I'm not teaching. I'm not exactly in a hurry to fill that weekend with stuff when I could be spending time with my children, or with Brittany, or with Dean. We do fun stuff. every
Priorities,
once in a
bro.
while.
Come on, we got to get our priorities
So,
straight.
But we're definitely working on getting it done this month, which I probably need 60 days of editing after to really get everything pumped out properly.
All good.
And then we've got some B-roll at a certain place that we need to film, which requires us to get together at that place and just do.
Yep. Probably a couple
Do
certain
some
places,
stuff.
but yeah.
Yeah, we've got some B-roll. We have some filming to do that's outside of the studio, basically. So that's a thing that's coming. And I honestly don't know when. But for sure this month we're going to finish that up. And well, how about this? 2023 is the year that Project D will come out.
Correct.
That we can be sure of.
And just to clarify, a lot of my time for the past several years has been spent teaching overhead for a certain shop in the state of Florida, because I was the lead instructor, which I am no longer the lead instructor for. So I'm going to have more time, which is great, because very honestly, I miss my family. I was spending probably a lot more time than I should have down here teaching. So I'll spend less time teaching, more time with them, and more time doing fun stuff and productive stuff with Josh, to work on the documentary, to build the Scuba Techie brand and shop and business and so on and so forth.
And you'll hopefully see more of us in Cave Country, the High Springs, Ginny Springs area. Certainly me, I plan to do a lot of diving up there, and hopefully we can drag Dean there, get him out of Mariana. I'm sure you're willing to come hang out and dive.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, I will say I have a house in Mariana. You have a house here. Josh and I have several times mentioned that it would be beneficial to have a studio/home base closer to the Cave Country area, like maybe right in High Springs. Wink, wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
Futures.
Future stuff to talk about.
Absolutely.
While we're here, I'm just going to toss this on Dean. Might as well talk about this, or we can always cut this out if we decide to. But
Hit me with it.
why don't we get a get together done? Maybe probably up at the Mariana house. I would think it would have to be, since we have the room there.
Like a meetup?
Yeah, let's do a meetup.
We can do that.
They don't have to be a cave diver. There's some diving we could do at Jackson Blue. That's not really cave. I mean, if all we get is cave divers, it'd be great to do a cool group cave dive. But
Well, and depending on how many people respond, we could do something at Jackson Blue on a Saturday, and then we can divert to something like Vortex or Morrison on Sunday.
I haven't been to Vortex or Morrison, so there you go.
There you go.
Just get a chance to hang out, do some diving, maybe help out with some, correcting some small issues, things that won't take several days of instruction, but some small gear problems or whatever, we don't mind.
A Scuba Techie workshop weekend.
I like it.
That'll work.
Sponsored by Into the Overhead.
Yeah, because a
Or
meetup
is
is
it Into the Overhead workshop weekend, sponsored by Scuba Techie.
Into the Overhead, I think it would be.
Oh, so yeah, it's an Into the Overhead event sponsored by Scuba Techie,
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think that's the way that makes
Well, because Into the Overhead doesn't have any funds available, so
That's
the
right.
sponsorship would come from Scuba Techie to help pay for.
So you'll
the
pay for
meetup.
everything, is what you're saying.
No, I said that.
La la la
I
la
said-
la la la. He said he'll pay for everything.
You're part of Scuba Techie now too, so let's get the Amex card, buddy.
You guys got to fly in. Just hit him up. He's got the card. He'll send you the
No.
numbers.
No, but there's also some other things that Scuba Techie's working on that we're not ready to talk about yet. But
Yeah, that one
things
thing.
like that for certain groups. You know what? What the hell? I might as well just. We're working on a veterans group, a group for veterans to come up. I know, first of all, Josh is a vet, but I know several people like Ben Stanfield and Dusty Guns that work with Veterans Adventure Group Scuba Division. I've talked to them, and one of my classmates from the ITW, Alex Blevins. Alex, thank you. He offered to jump in and help out. Also, he knows a bunch of vets, so that would be awesome.
When we say vets, you mean veterinarians or like military veterans?
Military vets.
Oh, if I'm not a vet, then never mind.
If it was going to be veterinarians, then you wouldn't be here. Shelby would be sitting here because she's a groomer.
I'm a veterinarian. I'm not a veteran. I've been confused.
Great, cut this out.
Just censor what he has to say and leave this part in.
Yeah, that's fine. Just bleep out that one word.
Professionalism. Leave that word out there. We don't know what that is. Okay, what else before we wrap up? We talked about the ITW. We talked about my cavern stuff. We talked about the future of Scuba Techie. Now, we say the shop's not really there, or it's not fully done yet because we don't have retail gear sales currently at the moment.
Well, we do.
In a shop, so to speak.
We don't have a large inventory. So the wedding has taken a huge amount of funds, so I haven't been able to...
stock a lot of stuff.
Yeah, stock a lot of stuff. And very honestly, right in the beginning, we're not going to offer 74 brands of this and 13,000 brands of that. We're going to basically stock what we dive, what we believe in. Because if we don't believe in it, there are plenty of other shops around. If you want something that we don't carry, all good. If you give us enough time, we can order stuff. We have dealerships. We have, price breaks from what you guys would normally spend, a lot of you anyway. So as long as you give us enough time or we can ship it to you, that's fine. But if you show up and want to dive, we're only going to have available at Scuba Techie, what we really, truly believe in. Probably going to be 2 lines of regulators, right? Or maybe 3. 1 or 2, harnesses. And, we're not going to offer a huge... We just don't have $500,000 to get that kind of inventory right now.
And not to mention, again, the real emphasis there is that we would prefer to sell things that we personally dive because, it just I don't want to say it makes you a better instructor, but it's easier to instruct the things that you have a ton of experience on than it is to take something that you've never dove and be like, all right, well, you bought it, so I guess I have to help you put it together and I have to teach it to you.
Absolutely.
Will we? I'm not saying that we wouldn't, but it's like, the quality of education that you're going to get, for example, in side mount, if you're diving a K2, will be completely different from the two of us than if you were to show up with, I don't know, I can't think of anything, but any European or...
the Apex side mount harness.
Yeah, the Apex that I've actually dove that one, but but I don't know how to configure it, so you see, like, that would be a problem,
Right, we might be able to make it work, but it's not going to be optimal. So,
right. So
we'd rather not.
Let's sell and teach the things that we use and we really love and depend on and trust, which is another big thing.
And that we're fluent with.
Plenty of like, just another example, lights out there. There's a 1.5 zillion light brands out there.
Yep.
You know what? There's 1.75 zillion light brands, as a matter of fact. But there's only a couple that we use, and those are the ones that we're going to sell because we know they're reliable, we know they're dependable. We've done the 4, 5, 6 hour dives with them and not had any issues. So, of course, those are the ones that we're going to sell.
Correct. Absolutely.
We'll
probably offer like a top-notch, high-quality, unfortunately high-priced brand, and then we'll have a more cost-effective for the people. Like, I don't really know if overhead's going to be for me, but if I need that light, I don't want to spend $2,000 on a light. So we'll have a more economical brand. Still good quality, otherwise we wouldn't sell it. But
also understand that, we're saying we want to sell specific brands, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to be like a full-service shop. So, I don't want to say any brand names because we're in, talks to get all this stuff done. But if a company only makes a certain product, it doesn't mean that we're not going to have other products. Okay. We plan to have coverage for all the stuff that you would need for tech diving, possibly up to and including rebreathers in the future. Just little working on that. Can't talk too much about it right now, but something that we're working on certainly. So, if you're looking for mid-level classes, technical level gear, rebreather, all that stuff we plan to cover. Just give us time.
Yep.
And hit us up and see what we can and can't do for you now, and we'll be happy to do what we can, and refer you to people who can do what we can if we can't.
Correct.
Because we're not the kind of people that are like, oh, you just wait. We can't do that yet. So why don't you just wait and not go pursue your diving career dreams, because we're not able to take your money.
Right. And if you come to us, or if you call us, or you text us, or you're on Facebook, hey, you know what? I don't like that particular brand that you guys sell. We're more than happy to say, hey, what do you like? And if you say, well, I like, let's say you like the Apex side mount harness, we'll tell you where to go get it. That's fine. We'll tell you where you can get it for the best possible price you can get it for anyway.
Yep.
So,
and certainly with somebody that can help you with it.
Yeah. What else we want to talk about? As far as a channel update.
As far as the channel goes, we have, I can't say what, when I know that's super disappointing. We have a new series in mind. You and I were just talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
And it should be pretty damn interesting. And I think it'll be interesting to the YouTube audience in general, not even just the technical diving community. Because if people can make videos where they explain those things third hand, first hand should be even more exciting.
Absolutely.
That's the hint. That's the only hint I can give you. Third hand, first hand, we're doing first, they did third. Therefore, it should be pretty popular.
Let's not say anymore, because we don't want anyone scooping it.
Of course not. But when we do this, we plan to record a number of episodes ahead, and then have them start sort of releasing on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So you may still see a gap in video uploads in the short term, but once the videos start actually being released on a normal schedule, it'll continue like that for some time. Because I think that the new series we have in mind has the potential to put 20, 25, 30 episodes out before it becomes something that we're like, okay, well, now we got to think of something else. Which is not to say that we won't do other stuff, by the way, but the availability of content for this particular series is pretty high. Especially because
I would agree with that being very possible. Yes.
I could definitely see some of these being 2-parters or even 3-parters, because there's
very
a lot
good
to talk
possibility.
about.
We really can't say too much as far as a commitment on what we can offer, but there's definitely going to be quite a bit to offer. We just can't right now judge if it's going to be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or whatever. I think a once a month kind of thing would be like the first episode of every month, and that'll give us that'll give us a couple of years worth of content.
For sure.
Yeah, sustainability. It's all about sustainability.
Yeah, protect the environment. That's what we're talking about.
Well,
sustainability.
The diving environment, I guess, right? The diving community, protect that always.
Especially the into the overhead environment. All right, we're getting dry here at the end, so why don't we do this? Lots to talk about in the future. We've talked about a lot today. We're hitting about 40 minutes here in this video, so why don't we wrap this up and get this thing posted and edited. Of course, it should be out, what is it, Thursday today? So you guys will probably be seeing this on Sunday, would be my guess. Maybe Monday. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But we will have in the ITO group on Facebook, if you're already in there, some information soon on a new release schedule and some information about what we plan to do to make sure that content keeps coming. And I encourage people to keep commenting down below with your ideas. I want you to know that even though time has been a problem recently, motivation isn't really the issue.
Not at all.
It's just the availability of time and the technical difficulties that come with attempting to do these things remotely. It's hard to control lighting in 2 different places when we're not, like he's in one place and I'm in a different place. Inconsistent lighting, inconsistent audio, inconsistent video. None of this is my fault. None of this is Dean's fault. It's just hard to make it exact on 2 sides.
On that note, let's reach out to you guys, everybody watching, listening, whatever it may be. If you have had success with remote locations and recording, whether it's a website, whether it's an application, whatever it may be, if you've been able to record in 2 separate locations and have had success with syncing video and audio in both locations, please let us know, because that's been the biggest problem.
Yeah.
When we first started, we were using
Riverside,
and it was a pain in the butt. It really was. And Josh quickly got turned off to it, and because I don't do much of the back end stuff, that was done by Josh mostly in the past, and now we have Britt. Thank you, Britt. We appreciate your help always. Yep. He's been fantastic. But if we could do this remotely in a much more reliable and repeatable and sustainable environment, we can turn out more content.
Yeah, the issues were small, but you guys noticed all of them. That was the problem. If you guys didn't notice the issues, we probably wouldn't have cared.
Right.
But they were noticeable. Like, for example, there were times when we were remote, I was hosting, because that's just how it works with Riverside, and if I would talk, Dean's audio would get quieter, even though he and I, we don't talk over each other per se, but we sort of bleed into each other's sentences all the time. So for his audio to be, brought down because I was talking didn't really make sense. And then there were times where, a lot of times as a matter of fact, where the audio wasn't syncing to our mouth.
The movements of the lips.
And it wasn't something that we were doing because the website was supposed to be doing all the recording. So our editor, or me, depending on who it was spending all this time trying to frame by frame, lip and then listen, lip and like try to line it all up. And it's just not worth the work.
Right. And real time while we were recording, everything looked and sounded fine. Like when I was at my place in Mariana watching my screen of Josh, everything he was saying was synced to his lips. So we didn't even know until, a couple episodes in, and you guys were like, hey, do you guys know that the audio is out of sync? And it was bad. Sometimes it was a couple seconds.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the problem that really made it like compound as an issue is, in the beginning, Dean and I, as a matter of fact, I'll show you, we have this tool here where we clip, and that lines up when this closes on the video to the spike in the audio so that it's easier to line up. But the problem is we'd be halfway through an episode before the sync, like the audio and video would desync.
Right.
So we'd have 15 minutes of perfectly good, and then at minute 21, whatever it is, it would desync. And the only way to know that that's happening is for us to go back and watch the episode from beginning to end, which
it's a pain.
It's just not something that we do. I mean, I don't personally always have 40 minutes to sit there and watch the things that we already talked about.
And then another 4 hours to actually work on resyncing everything.
Exactly.
So internet latency probably caused it, but it was a pain in the butt for sure.
Not really our thing. So anyways, we'll stop beating that dead horse. For now, we're doing episodes in person. I'll have to, go up and do some recordings up in Mariana, but it would be nice. And I'm gonna put the request out here. If anybody that has room and would be willing to help out up in the Cave Country area, High Springs, Alachua, whatever the case may be, Alachua or Columbia County, I can transport it. I've got lights, I've got camera gear, I got microphones and all that stuff, but I'd be happy to transport up so we can record a couple episodes, maybe get together one weekend a month, record a couple 4 or 5 episodes and put them out, give you a shout out in the video. So if anybody's got the space and is willing, let me know, man. That would be great.
What kind of space are we talking about? Give them an idea, because it can't be a 3x3 closet.
Well, it could be a 4x4 closet, so there you go.
We'd be really close, which would be better.
Yeah, and you like that.
No, and seriously, I would say at least a 12x12 room, minimum.
Pretty standard size bedroom, which is actually what we're in. We're in a standard size bedroom right now. We're 6 feet from our camera and light.
Josh, we're in our $500,000 recording studio. What are you talking
That's
about?
That's what I said. A $500,000 recording bedroom. So, I mean, I have some sound material back here and back there and over there to the side, and there's actually some sound material here on the floor. So we've done some work, but we have some mics that are a little bit less sensitive to environment sound now, so we can be a little bit more portable. I can't really do anything about the light. The light is it's pretty big.
Like a 2.5 foot circle.
Yeah, it's pretty big to have the dome, but we can break it down and bring it up as long as we're gonna do maybe a Saturday and a Sunday or whatever.
Yeah, like at least a half a day to record several episodes.
Not take up too much of your time. But anyways, let me know. You guys know who we are, so feel free to reach out to us on Facebook with some information. I don't encourage you to post your address or anything in the YouTube comments. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Message us personally. But
cool.
On that note, I'm going to give it over to Dean to close as if.
What, you selling your house? You have any clothes on it?
No, close the episode.
Oh, gotcha. Guys, we want to thank you for coming. This has been a little bit longer of a break than we'd like, but we're going to get back at it. Things are starting to slow down a little bit. Thanks again for joining us on Into the Overhead. Don't forget to dive as if.
That was it. It's going to end just like that. Perfect. All right, Britt. No. See, don't put his in there, Britt. Just put mine.
Put both of them.
No, he's an idiot, Britt. Don't do that.